I know. It's going to be what's happening with a certain mania that's wrestling.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, where that hasn't been confirmed yet? We're talking out at school. Is this Fight Club?
No, I don't know.
Yes, you did. Is he coming next? Is he going to be here in time for post Andrea Carter?
He always is.
Yeah, I think I'll be like wearing in with kids, and of course, and
he's going to come skipping.
it's gonna be like absolutely legit. I was thinking about it.
That narrative that LeBron's holding back Austin Reeves and Luka, that thing has gone poof. They got in Durant's head the other night. They got Durant thinking he should be a role player.
Yo, they stomped him out.
Yeah, he did. Back here on the Rich Eisen Show, 844-204-RICH, number to dial. I don't believe we've had Andrea Carter on this program, but that is about to end, courtesy of Reese's. Everything happens for a Reese's March Madness campaign from ESPN. Andrea Carter is here on the show. How you doing?
I am great.
As Andrea Carter, everyone knows her from College Game Day, and since she's a basketball analyst, I know her a lot.
Everything is going exactly how I need.
Yes, it's like candy and the candy of the tournament. It's like mixing milk chocolate and peanut butter. Quite frankly,
Perfect. The perfect combination.
It is exactly that. Before we get to the campaign, how do you feel the women's March Madness bracket played out? Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's unfair? What do you think?
The bracket's interesting. What I know the committee runs into are the bracketing principles. I'll be interested to see if these ever change, because what the committee runs into is there are certain rules that say you can't have a team from the same conference. You can't have two teams from the same conference face each other in the first or second round. They really try to keep those conference matchups until later in the tournament, which sounds great as a concept, but when you have conferences that have 10 or 12 teams in the tournament, you start to run into moving teams around, and they're not in their true seeded position with the S-curve. So like when I look at UCLA, for example, in this season's bracket, they're facing LSU, they're facing Duke. Those are the best. That's the best 2 and 3 seed facing UCLA. So UCLA's path is pretty difficult, but it's just because of the way teams have to be moved around by the bracketing principles. So it's it's interesting, but to me, I love this bracket. One of my favorite things that I love is that if the 1 seeds all make it to the Final Four, the matchups would be different than what we had last season. So UConn would potentially face South Carolina in the Final Four, and Texas would potentially face UCLA in the Final Four. So those matchups would be different than what we had last year, which for me, that's exciting.
Well, you mentioned how LSU is the 2 seed in UCLA's bracket. My alma mater is the 2 seed in Texas's, Vanderbilt in UConn's, and Iowa in South Carolina's. Which 2 seed do you think could potentially upset the apple cart in this bracket?
Ooh, let me think about this. I'm trying to think of the 2 seed in South Carolina's region.
Is Iowa.
Vanderbilt
and UConn.
Vanderbilt with UConn, LSU, UCLA.
And Michigan,
Texas.
Yep.
That's, that's hard. I would maybe go LSU or Michigan. Michigan is a tough team. The discipline that they play with offensively, with how they play defensively. I mean, they've got 3 sophomores that are phenomenal scorers. The issue is I don't know if they have the size to compete with Texas. I mean, Texas is such a big team. They can dominate the glass. At LSU, their guards are phenomenal. They're so much fun to watch. But again, Lauren Betts and her size. You have Sienna Betts, who's 6'4", coming off the bench. But, to me, I would maybe go with, if I had to choose out of the 2 seeds, maybe give Michigan a chance against Texas.
Well, I mean, Michigan and UConn played an excellent game, a barn burner, early on in the season. UCLA went into Ann Arbor and took care of business there. And Silas Swords is an outstanding basketball player.
Silas incredible. Her freshman year when she came on the scene and played South Carolina and just played with so much confidence, I was like, who is this kid? But it shows that she played a very high level of basketball before she got to college. So she's fun to watch. Mila Holloway, Olivia Olson, those players to me are very tough. I enjoy watching Michigan play.
Yeah, me too. But I'm biased when it comes down to that. I have Andrea Carter here on the Rich Eisen Show. So do you have in your bracket, all 4 1 seeds advancing?
I do.
You
I
do.
do have all 4 1 seeds, which hasn't happened that often, as often as people think it has. I want to say one of our researchers told me it's only happened 4 times, but I do have all of them advancing to the Final Four. I will say I like Tennessee's bracket. I like the region that they're in. I like their shot of at least redeeming the way that their season ended. I don't have Tennessee all the way to the Final Four, but I think if they can use what they went through, the gauntlet of a schedule in February, if they can use that to pull together, and I do think they can win a few games in this tournament, which I was excited when I saw that. Not as an analyst, as a former Lady Vol.
Of course.
That made me happy.
Well, I want to get to something on that, before we move on. So who do you have cutting down the nets?
I've got Connecticut winning it all.
I
do. I have them going back to back.
That'll be 13 for them, Andrea.
I know.
13.
And I was actually looking at the numbers. So it's let me it's what was it? 24 Final Fours, 12 national championships, 6 undefeated seasons for Gino and UConn, and I just have all of those going up by 1, which is, it just speaks to the excellence of that program. But when I think about UConn, and I know a lot of people have talked about how they're not battle tested this season,
Right.
I've watched UConn's practices and actually just spent some time here with Brianna Stewart at the Reese's campaign, and she talks about how Gino battle tests them every day. And we were watching UConn shoot around in practice before their game against Louisville. We covered that game, and the amount of times that he blew his whistle, made him stop down, made him restart, and the way that the players just handled it and rolled with it. Whatever he said, good or bad, they were like, okay, next play, okay, let's move on. And they were ready to go, which I feel like is how they handle adversity in the games. So to me, what Gino puts them through, but also how difficult I imagine Sarah Strong is to game plan against because of her versatility, plus the pieces around her, the shooting of Azzi Fudd, and just everyone really knowing their roles and them having such a system on both ends. I have UConn going all the way.
Andrea Carter here on the Rich Eisen Show. Did Gino ever try to recruit you, or no?
I was recruited to UConn, but Shea Ralph actually recruited me to Connecticut. It's actually a funny story. When she got the job at Vanderbilt, I was covering football at the time. I had a Vanderbilt football game, but I went to watch women's practice, and I was talking to Shea Ralph, and she was like, I was like, hey, I'm Andrea Carter, and she was like, oh, I remember recruiting you. She was on her way to watch my state championship game when I was in high school. She said she got snowed out. Her flight didn't take off. So she missed the game. I won the state championship, and I committed to Tennessee the next day. And that was a funny story that she told me. But I loved Connecticut and Tennessee were by far the top 2 schools for me. And ended up going with Tennessee. I committed at a young age. It was the perfect distance from home, and had my heart for a while.
What's your favorite Pat Summitt story?
Favorite is hard, but honestly, the one that just always comes to my mind when I think about Pat. So my first call with Pat, it was the fall of my freshman year. And we had a phone call, and I was so nervous. I had to call her. She couldn't call me just because of recruiting rules. And so I'm so young. And when I used to get nervous, I would start to cry. Like I would just get so anxious. So I'm in tears calling Pat on the phone. And she answers, and I say, hey, Coach Summitt, it's Andrea Carter. And she said, hey, player Andrea, you can call me Pat. And just sort of immediately brought herself down to my level and just was like, call me Pat, and just made it so comfortable when I was already more nervous than you could ever imagine to talk to her on the phone. She also gave me her autograph when I was young. She was at a tournament recruiting, and my teammates forced me to go say hi to her. And she was just so kind, and wasn't recruiting me at the time. Probably didn't even know who I was, but those things to me stand out when I just think about Pat. And obviously Pat, Deidre Charles Furlow, we miss them both so much. Pat was great. I have a lot of good memories with her, but they're more the person that she was than the coach that she was, and I'm very thankful for that.
What do you think she would think of the state of the women's game today, Andrea?
That's hard to say. I think I would hope that she would like the competitiveness and the skill across the board and how talented these women are and how much these women are being paid and moving the needle and how brands are investing in the women's game. She did so much to grow the women's game.
No doubt.
And I think the amount of eyes and attention that these women get, rightfully so, for how talented and good that they are, I think that would be something she would be really proud of because it's something that she helped build.
Would she have a podcast now? You think?
Probably.
The Pat Summit Show?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never knows. You already mentioned Breonna Stewart's name. Tyrese Halliburton, Richard Jefferson also. I guess the starting four for the Everything Happens for a Reese's March Madness campaign. What's this about?
Yeah, the idea behind it is there's no perfect brackets. Like every bracket busts. And this year, this season, if you fill out a bracket and your bracket busts, you can send in your busted bracket into Reese's with the hashtag for Reese's Sweeps. And you have the chance to win Reese's, which is great, but also a chance to win tickets to the men's or women's Final Four and championship game. So just the idea that there's no perfect brackets, fill yours out to the best of your ability. It can be heartbreaking when your bracket busts, but there's also a little bit of a reward if your bracket busts this season, thanks to Reese's.
Could you imagine you want to win this Reese's prize and it's the first time your bracket doesn't bust? That would really suck. You know what I mean?
I know.
Of all the years to get a perfect bracket. My goodness. And so every bracket busts for a Reese's.com is how you can enter for this competition, right? You got a men's bracket you want to talk about here, Andre.
I do. I have a men's bracket. That one sometimes, because I cover the women's tournament and I dive so deep in truly thinking about the teams. I know I cover men's college basketball all season long up until tournament time, and then I get to solely focus on the women. But for me, sometimes with the men's bracket, I like to go with my heart. Like that's where I think about, we could potentially get Pitino against Coach Cal or this superstar freshman against this superstar freshman. And so my bracket, I'm obviously like Tennessee's going to go all the way. I have a little more fun with my men's bracket.
Yeah.
And going with my heart, going with my gut, going with big storylines that, we would all love to see. So that's really how I fill out my men's bracket, if I'm being completely honest.
I would just love UConn to play UCLA in the round of 32 just to see if both coaches get ejected, by yelling at each other. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be
that's
great?
the type of stuff I'm talking about.
Right.
Good TV. Yeah.
That would, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Hurley
yes,
and Cronin, maybe they eject each other. You know what
yes. Yes. That might be the most. I don't want to say the word emotional, but I don't think either of them would mind that. Because they're so
Oh my
passionate
God,
and they're,
Dan Hurley for
UConn.
UConn. He always got drama with things on his
Tennessee winning it
team.
all, cutting down the nets in the men's
Yeah,
bracket.
I do. Go Vols, baby.
Okay. Well, I hope you don't mind me saying, since they're in Michigan's.
Yeah.
Both the men and women are in Michigan's side of the bracket.
Yeah, what is up with this? Pitting us against each other. We actually should. Do you want to have a little side moment?
Oh,
Maybe
yes.
we can involve Reese's in a little side bet between me and you.
I just don't. I'm up for that. Absolutely. On the women's side, though, you've got to go into Ann Arbor and come out with that win. That's the difference on that front. And then on the other front, you've got to make the Elite Eight for that to take on my school. If
I remember correctly, we could potentially see Virginia, we being Tennessee, if I'm thinking about the bracket right.
Yep.
Who Tennessee could potentially have to go through, and that's
Sweet 16 would be Virginia, Tennessee if it's chalk. Actually, that's around a 32 if it's chalk. If it's chalk, if you go non-chalk there, you'd probably have to take on either Iowa State or Kentucky. After that to make the Elite Eight. To take on Michigan. So listen, I know this is the first time you've been on this show, so I'm sorry to do this, but it's school pride here. With Tennessee having to go into Ann Arbor to take on the women, and Tennessee having to get through all of that to take on Michigan in the Elite Eight, based on your campaign for coming on here, I think you might have the better chance of having a busted bracket than me getting the Reese's, if you don't mind me saying.
I still win, although my Tennessee heart would be broken. I'd get more orange and more reward with Reese's. So at least there's orange involved for me, no matter what takes place.
Okay.
So
just know this, that if these matchups happen, you'll hear from me. We have the same representation, so I know where to find you.
and just know that if your bracket busts for Reese's, you get Reese's, and you also get to sing Rocky Top for me. So there we go.
Okay. So what do you? So you have to sing the victors and Reese's, right? Is that what you got?
There we go.
Okay, I like it. This is for both the men and women. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I look forward to the next time you're on the show, which is probably on Monday. What it looks
Start
like.
researching the lyrics for Rocky Top. I'll
Okay.
send them to you. Actually,
Thank you.
I'll have Ryan get
That's it.
Rocky Top to
Yep,
you.
we
so
have.
you know.
Sounds good. I look forward to that. In the meantime, I appreciate you coming on here and chopping it up. Thanks, Andrea.
Thanks for having me.
Andrea Carter, right here on the Rich.
I know her a
Show,
lot.
Set to sing the victors while eating a Reese's.
Uh,
Well, there ain't no phone calls.
wow.
On Rocky